The human soldier's boots echoed on the marble floor as he stepped into the grand alien palace. His name was Cain, a decorated war hero from Earth, chosen to represent humanity in the intergalactic peace pact. The palace was bright with golden lights, crystals floating in the air, and guards with glowing armor lining the path. But none of that impressed Cain. At the end of the grand hall, sitting high on her throne, was the alien Queen Velyara, the most powerful ruler in the Thalaran galaxy.
Ow.
Her beauty was unmatched. Her skin shimmered like moonlight, her eyes glowed violet, and her gown flowed like liquid fire. She rose as Cain approached, her voice soft but commanding. "Human Cain," she said, "you have proven yourself in battle and honor. As a gift, I offer myself to you. It's my body, my power, my kingdom." Everyone in the hall went silent. Cain stood still. Her words were not a joke. She was serious. The queen of an entire alien world was offering herself to him, just like that. A servant stepped forward and handed Cain a scroll. It was a royal agreement.
Ow.
If he signed it, he would become her consort and rule by her side. But just as Cain took the scroll in his hands, something shifted. From the corner of his eye, near the massive palace gates, he saw a figure lying on the floor, small, weak, barely moving. It was a young alien woman, dirty and dressed in rags. Her hair was tangled, her green skin bruised. She looked thin, starved, as if she hadn't eaten in days. Nobody noticed her. Guards walked past her like she didn't exist. Guests turned their heads away in disgust. Cain frowned. He looked at the scroll, then back at the woman. His heart tightened. Something felt wrong. Why was a living being allowed to suffer like this right outside the queen's throne? He took a step toward her. "Sir Cain," the queen said, her voice still calm, "you must sign the scroll before sunset. It is our tradition. Come, and you shall be loved by a goddess." But Cain kept walking, toward the girl. Guards moved to block him. "She's no one," one guard said. "Just trash from the outer districts." Cain ignored them. He knelt beside the woman. She tried to move away, afraid. Her eyes opened slowly, large, soft, full of pain. She whispered, "Don't touch me. I'm not clean." Cain didn't speak. He removed his cloak and placed it gently over her trembling body. "What's your name?" he asked softly. She looked at him in disbelief. No one had asked her that in a long time. "Thahala," she whispered. The queen rose from her throne. Her smile had vanished. "You insult my offer, human," she said, louder now. Her voice echoed across the chamber. "You choose filth over royalty." Cain turned slowly. "Why is she starving outside your palace?" he asked. "She is an exile," the queen snapped. "Her past is broken, her value is gone." Cain didn't care. He lifted Thahala in his arms. She was so light, he could feel her bones. The guests gasped. Some laughed. Others whispered, "He's mad." But Cain walked with steady steps, past the guards, past the queen, out and out of the golden hall, carrying the woman the galaxy had forgotten. Outside, the sky was painted with twin suns setting behind the crystal mountains. Cain laid Thahala gently on a bench and gave her water from his flask. Her hands trembled as she drank. "Why did you help me?" she asked. "Because," Cain said, looking back at the palace behind him. "Your eyes had more honesty than her whole kingdom." Thahala closed her eyes. For the first time in years, someone had seen her, truly seen her. Not as trash, not as a failure, but as a person. Inside the palace, Queen Velyara stood frozen, her fists clenched. She had offered everything. Her beauty, her power, and been rejected. She whispered to her advisor, "Find out who that woman is and what she hides." Because the queen could feel it now, Cain's choice wasn't just about kindness. There was something more to Thahala. Something dangerous. Something the queen thought was long gone. The invitation had been given. But the real story had just begun. Thahala lay wrapped in Cain's cloak, hidden in the shadows behind an old, unused temple. The cold ground pressed against her back, but for the first time in years, she didn't feel afraid. The human had not just looked at her, He had lifted her from the floor, touched her without shame, and gave her water without asking for anything. Cain sat beside her now, watching the stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. He didn't speak much. He only listened to her slow breaths, her shivering voice, and the silence of a woman forgotten by her world. "Why did you come to the palace?" Thale asked weakly. Cain looked at the sky. "I was invited," the queen wanted, "to offer me a gift." Thyla's tired lips curved into a bitter smile. "Let me guess, herself." He nodded, tear head away. "Of course she did." Cain studied her face. Under the dirt and bruises, her features were delicate. Her eyes were large and shaped like teardrops, glowing softly in the dark. There was pain in her, but also a strange strength, like someone who had broken many times, yet still survived. "Why are you out here, Thela?" Cain asked gently. She closed her eyes. "Because I said no." He waited. "I once worked inside that palace," she whispered. "I was a science leader. I created something powerful, something the queen wanted to use for war." Cain leaned in. "What was it?" Thela didn't answer right away. Her voice was thin, almost breaking. "I called it a heart seed. It could bring dead planets back to life, but also destroy them if used wrongly. I refused to turn it into a weapon, so she branded me a traitor and threw me out." Cain was silent for a long time. "You created life, and she left you to die." Thela gave a soft laugh, no joy in it. "Funny, isn't it? They told the galaxy I was a criminal, but all I did was try to protect it." Cain looked at her with respect now, deeper than before. Not only had she been strong, she had been brave enough to stand against a queen, and now she was paying the price suddenly. Thela clutched his arm, eyes wide with fear. "They're coming," she whispered. Cain turned his head and saw them too. 2 royal guards in silver armor moving through the street. They were searching, scanning corners, checking under benches, their weapons ready. They had tracked her scent. "They want me dead," Thela said. "What?" "The queen thinks I'm a threat again." Cain didn't hesitate. He grabbed her hand and pulled her to her feet. She staggered, but he caught her. Together, they slipped into the shadows of the narrow alleys behind the temple ruins. They ran, not fast, not clean, but desperate. The guards' boots echoed behind them, and light from their scanners flashed across the dark stone walls. Thela gasped for breath. "I can't keep running." "Then we don't run," Cain said. He led her into a small cave behind a cracked statue of a forgotten god. The cave was tight, but dark. He pulled out a small device from his belt, human stealth tech, and activated it. A pulse of sound wrapped around them, masking heat and motion for a short time. The guards passed the statue, then moved on. Inside the cave, Thela collapsed against him, weak and shaking. "Why are you helping me? You could have had everything." Cain looked into her eyes. "I don't want everything," he said. "I want what's right." She blinked, confused. No one had ever chosen her. Not over the queen, not over power. Cain placed a small energy bar into her hands. "Eat. Tomorrow, we move." "Where?" she asked softly. "To find the heart seed," he said. "If what you made can bring life, then we're not just hiding. We're going to finish what you started." Thela stared at him, stunned. She had hidden for so long, she forgot what it felt like to be seen as more than a burden. Outside, the queen watched a floating screen from her throne. Her guards had failed to capture Thela. Her smile returned, sharp and cold. "Let him. Run," she whispered. "Let him fall in love with her. Then I'll take them both, and the heart seed." She tapped her fingers on the armrest. No one steals from a queen and lives to tell the tale. Queen Velyara stood before a glowing map in her war room. Holograms danced in the air, tracking movements, life signs, and heat trails across her city. Her eyes locked onto one glowing red dot, flickering faintly outside the palace zone. She narrowed her gaze. "The human refused me," she whispered. "For her." Her advisor, a tall alien with silver skin, stepped forward. "Do you want him punished, my queen?" She shook her head slowly. "No, not yet. Let him think he has won something. Let him feel safe. Then her smile faded. But find out where she's taking him, and what she still knows. Far below the city towers, Cain and Thyala had reached the old industrial zone, a forgotten place where ruined buildings sat like the bones of a dead world. It was cold, quiet, and smelled like rust. But Thyala knew these streets well. This way, she said, pointing to a large, half-collapsed lab. Cain followed, keeping his hand on his weapon. He trusted her, but danger still lingered around. Every corner. Thyala led him to a room beneath the floor, hidden behind broken machines and fallen walls. Inside was dust and silence, but then she touched a stone panel, lit up. The floor trembled slightly. A part of the wall slid open, revealing a glowing box, smooth, silver, and pulsing faintly with light. Cain stepped closer. "That's it?" he asked. Thyala nodded. The heart seed. It didn't look like a weapon. It looked like a living egg, breathing slowly, as if it waited for someone to awaken it. "This device," she said quietly, "can bring life back to a dead moon. It pulls energy from the stars and returns it to dying soil, broken air, poisoned oceans." Cain was speechless, but Thyala looked sad. "There's only one left. All the others were taken by the Queen. I destroyed their copies before she could use them. This one is all I saved." Cain stepped back. "So she wanted to use this for war?" Thyala nodded. She believed if she planted it into the core of a rival planet, it would twist its energy and burn it from the inside. "But you built it to save life," Cain said. "Yes," she whispered. "And now she'll kill both of us to make sure it never sees the light again." Suddenly, a small beep sounded from Cain's wrist console. A warning. "They found us," he muttered. Before Thyala could respond, the wall behind them exploded. Smoke filled the lab. Red lights flashed. 2 royal assassins in black armor stormed in. Cain pulled his blaster, firing quickly, hitting one in the chest. Thyala grabbed the heart seed and ran behind the machines. The second assassin swung a glowing blade at Cain, barely missing his head. Cain blocked with his arm guard and kicked him back. The assassin hissed, ready to strike again, but then froze. The heart seed had started to glow. Its pulse became stronger, and the entire room shook. The assassin backed away slowly. Confused, he stared at Thyala, then vanished into the shadows, disappearing without a word. Cain locked the door again. "What just happened?" he asked, panting. Thyala looked at the glowing seed. "They're afraid of it. They don't know how it works. And that makes it powerful." Cain nodded. "Then we use that fear." Back in the palace, Queen Valera watched the failure unfold on her screen. Her fingers tapped angrily against the throne. She stood, summoned the Intergalactic Council. "I want the human branded a traitor, and her a terrorist." Her advisor hesitated. "But the council still believes she died 3 years ago." "Then we tell them she faked her death," Valera said coldly. "We say she stole sacred relics, endangered the peace treaty. Whatever it takes but the human." "What if he speaks truth?" The queen turned slowly. Her eyes were like ice. "Then we silence him forever." Cain and Thyala sat quietly in the dark, watching the seed glow between them. "We can't stay here," Cain said. Thyala agreed. "There's only one way to end this. We must get this seed off the planet. Take it to someone who still believes in peace." Cain stood. "Then we run, but not as cowards. We run with a plan." She looked at him, truly looked at him, a human who could have had a queen, but chose a broken woman instead. She felt something rise in her chest, something she thought she had lost long ago: hope. The wind howled through the jagged cliffs of the Dead Ring, a rocky wasteland far from the Queen's floating cities. Cain and Thyala had traveled for hours, tired, cold, and hunted, carrying a glowing artifact that could change worlds. The heart seed pulsed quietly inside Cain's pack, like a heartbeat waiting to be reborn. They reached a narrow cave. Carved into the stone, Thyala touched the entrance with her hand. The wall shimmered, then opened like a soft breath. Kane looked at her. "What is this place?" She hesitated. "This was once mine." Inside, the cave revealed a hidden lab, half covered in dust, half still alive with silent machines. Light strips blinked to life as Thala stepped inside. Glass tanks, data consoles, and old blueprints lay untouched for years. "This is where I made the first heart seed," she said softly. Kane walked to a console. On the screen there were photos, alien landscapes, blooming with strange trees and lakes of crystal water. He tapped one. "You saved these places?" he asked. Thala nodded. "Before I was cast out, I planted heart seeds on 5 dead moons. I told no one. They were my gift proof that we could heal instead of destroy." Kane looked at her with quiet awe. The queen tried to use it for power. Thala's eyes darkened. She said peace was weakness, that only fear brings control. Kane frowned. "Then why didn't you run earlier? Why wait until now?" Thala turned slowly, her voice almost a whisper. "Because I didn't want to survive, not after what they did." She opened a drawer. Inside were old, burnt pictures. One showed her standing with 2 other alien women in white coats, all smiling. "My sisters," she said. "We built the heart seed together. When the queen found out, she made me watch as they were erased." Kane clenched his fists. "You've carried this alone for so long." Thala placed the picture down gently. "I thought no one would ever care again, that no one would see me as more than trash." He stepped closer. "But I do." She met his eyes, and for a moment her walls cracked. A tear slid down her cheek. Then the cave lights flickered. Kane drew his blaster. "We've been found." "No," Thala said, checking the console. "It's not them, it's someone trying to contact us." The console buzzed, then displayed a signal. Broken, faint, but real. A face appeared, old, tired, human. Kane leaned forward. "Admiral Heston." The man coughed. "Kane, you're alive." "I am, but the Queen is hunting us, and there's more. We have the last heart seed." The Admiral's eyes widened. "Then you need to hear this. The Council has declared you a criminal. They say you're helping a terrorist who plans to destroy Thalaran Prime." Thala stepped into view. The Admiral gasped. "You were dead. I was erased," she said calmly. "But I'm not here to destroy anything. I want to finish what I started." The signal broke again. "We can't protect you now. Too many systems under her control." But Static Gongotten Kane slammed a fist against the wall. "We're alone," he muttered. Thala shook her head. "No, not alone. There's still one place. One person who can help." She opened a metal panel and pulled out a device shaped like a small cube. "My sisters and I created this as a failsafe. It holds the key to activating the heart seed. But only someone pure can use it." Kane raised a brow. "Pure," she smiled faintly. "Someone who never wanted power. Someone who chose love. When he could have had a throne." Kane was speechless. Then her face turned serious. "But before we activate anything, we must leave this planet. The Queen won't stop, and she'll kill anyone who stands in her way." Suddenly, the cave shook violently. Stones fell from above. Kane pulled Thala close. "Earthquake?" "No," she said. "She found us." A voice boomed through the walls, cold and sharp, the Queen's voice. "Run, little traitor. Run with your human. But this time, there's nowhere left to hide." Kane grabbed the heart seed. "We go now." Thala triggered the emergency escape route, a tunnel leading to the underground train systems long forgotten by the city. Dust filled the air as they fled through the narrow path, the Queen's laughter echoing behind them as they disappeared. Into darkness, Kane looked back once more. "I swear," he said under his breath, "we're going to finish this and show the galaxy who the real traitor is." The Queen's face was no longer calm. Inside her war chamber, Queen Valeria paced in silence. The golden silk of her robe dragged across the smooth floor like a shadow behind her rage. Her perfect smile, the one that had charmed rulers. Across galaxies had vanished. On the center screen floated an image, Cain and Theala. Running through an ancient tunnel system, clutching the heart seed, she raised one hand and spoke coldly. Begin Operation Black Sky. No survivors. Her generals looked at each other nervously. One step forward, my queen. That would destroy half the lower city, Valara. S eyes flashed purple. Then rebuild it. Burn everything beneath. I want the ash in the wind. Far below. Deep inside the planet's old underground train line, Cain and Theala moved fast through the flickering darkness. Sparks flew from broken tracks. The air smelled of rust and dust. This tunnel connects to the outer landing ports, Theala said, panting. If we reach them, we can hijack a cargo ship and leave the system. Cain nodded. Then we move faster. Suddenly the ceiling above shook, dust rained down. Low rumble spread through the walls like a monster waking up. What is that? Cain asked. Theala froze. It started. Black Sky. She's sending orbital fire. A moment later, a violent blast shattered the ceiling behind them. Red-hot energy burned through the tunnel. Fire roared down the path, chasing them. Run. Cain shouted. They sprinted. Sparks exploded around them. Pipes burst. The ground split. Behind them, everything was being erased, swallowed by the Queen's wrath. They dove through a broken hatch, landing hard in a cargo passage. The explosion stopped just inches behind. Cain coughed from the smoke, holding Theala tightly. She's trying to kill the whole level, he said. Theola's voice trembled. She wants no evidence. If we die, she controls the story. Cain looked into her eyes. Then we survive. We tell the galaxy the truth. On the other side of the system, hidden aboard a smuggler ship, a small drone floated silently in space. It carried a secret message, one sent by Cain hours earlier. It had one goal: reach someone who still believed in justice. Inside that message was proof of Theola's exile, of the Queen's crimes, and the truth about the heart seed. The drone vanished into hyperspace. Back in the burning tunnels, Cain and Theala reached a steel platform. Above them was a forgotten launch pad once used to send mining ships into orbit. It was half collapsed, but it might still work. Theala pulled out the activation cube. This is it, she said. Once we leave, there's no return. Cain gave a small smile. I didn't come this far to turn back. They climbed the rusted ladder, entered the ship, and powered up the system. The engines sputtered, then roared alive. But just as the launch began, red lights flashed. She blocked the sky, Theala said. A force field. We're trapped. Cain slammed the controls. We're sitting targets. Below inside. The Queen's command ship? Valara watched the small launch attempt with cold amusement. Lock missiles, she said. But her advisor ran in, holding a new report. My queen, a signal just reached the outer colonies. They've received the human's message. The heart seed's truth is spreading. Her eyes widened. What? The Hollis name is trending across networks. Leaders are demanding answers. Valara's calm cracked again. Silence the channels. It's too late, the advisor said. The people are listening. They're starting to believe her. The Queen screamed, smashing her throne screen. Up in the damaged ship, Cain and Theala held hands. We'll never break the force field in time, she said. Then we changed the plan, Cain replied. He opened the emergency hatch and pulled out the heart seed. Its glow was bright now, pulsing with energy. It responded to the cube in Theala's hand. What are you doing? She asked. We show them. He placed the heart seed into the launch cannon, locked its core, and aimed not at the shield, but into the dead land below the city. Theala understood. He was going to awaken a broken part of the planet. Live. It's on all networks, so the galaxy could see the truth. She connected the activation cube. Ready? It. Cain nodded. Do it. The heart seed fired. It streaked across the sky, through the force field, and buried itself deep into the cracked land. The ground trembled and bloomed. Before millions of live feeds, a wasteland became green. Flowers burst from stone. Rivers formed in seconds. A desert was reborn. Gasps filled the networks. And in that moment, Queen's lies began to die. The galaxy held its breath. Across star systems, holograms flickered to life. On every screen, people watched in silence as the barren land beneath Thalaran's capital bloomed in real time, rivers flowing, trees growing, light rising from Ashdod. The name Theala was no longer whispered in shame. Now it echoed in headlines in Senate halls, on news feeds. Exiled genius brings dead world to life. Queen lied about the heartseed. Galaxy demands answers. Human warrior chooses truth overthrown in the middle of it all. Aboard a damaged launch ship surrounded by smoke and alarms. Cain and Theola stood together, exhausted, dirty, but unbroken. She looked at him through teary eyes. "You didn't just save me, you gave me back my voice." Cain smiled softly. "No, you always had a voice. They just tried to silence it." Before she could respond, the ship jolted. A message appeared on the cracked screen. "Surrender. Now you are surrounded. Final chance." The Hala's heart dropped. "It's her. She's not done." Cain turned to her. "Then we're not done either." Inside her warship, Queen Velyara paced like a caged predator. Her perfect world was unraveling. Theola's name was trending. The people who once adored her now questioned everything. And worst of all, she had been rejected. She looked at the soldier beside her. "Send the final command. I want that ship destroyed." The soldier hesitated, but the heart seed has given hope. If you destroy them now, it may cause rebellion. Velyara stepped close, eyes glowing with fury. "Then let them rebel. I'd rather rule with fear than share my throne." Aboard the launch ship, Cain and Thyla braced for the end. She touched his arm gently. "You could have had power, comfort, a queen at your feet." He turned toward her, voice steady. "But I chose you." "Why?" He smiled. "Because when I looked at you, I didn't see a fallen scientist. I saw someone who still believed in saving life, even after losing everything." Theala swallowed hard. "I'm not royal. Not perfect. I'm broken." Cain touched her face. "You're real. That's what the galaxy needs now." She closed her eyes, leaning into his hand for the first time. It's not in fear, but in peace. Just then the outer hull groaned. The Queen's ship had locked on. The final strike was seconds away, but before the blast could land, a flash of blue light tore across the sky. A new ship appeared, sleek, fast, marked with a silver insignia. It was from the outer colony's resistance, the message drone Cain had sent had worked. The resistance ships surrounded the Queen's vessel. A message echoed on all frequencies. "Queen Velyara, stand down. You are no longer the voice of the people." On her ship, the Queen's face twisted with rage. "They dare turn on me." Her own generals looked uneasy. "My queen," one whispered, "the galaxy has seen the truth. If we attack now, we become the enemy." Her control was slipping not because of weapons, but because of choice. Millions were choosing a fallen woman over a perfect queen, a scientist over a symbol, a human's heart over a royal throne. Velyara hissed, "I built this empire." "But you built it on lies," said a voice from behind. It was her own advisor holding his badge. "I resign. I stand with the ones who gave us life, not death." Others followed. One by one, her inner circle dropped their loyalties. The Queen stood alone, screaming. She activated her personal escape pod and vanished into space. Back on the ground, the people cheered as the force field collapsed. For the first time in years, the sky above Thaliran was open. The heart seeds. Energy continued to spread, healing more of the world, transforming poisoned air into clean wind, broken lands into forests, and standing in the light of a new dawn. Where Cain and Thyla, news reporters gathered, but Cain spoke only one sentence. "We didn't fight for power. We fought for the right to choose love, even when the world said it was worthless." Theola stepped beside him, and that love saved a planet. Later, under a glowing tree, born from the heartseed's power, Theola sat with Cain beside a quiet lake. The air was fresh. No alarms. No chasing. As she looked at him. Softer now. I never thought anyone would choose me again. Cain placed his hand over hers. You weren't chosen. You were seen. And in that moment, no crown could ever shine brighter than the bond between them. The world had changed. Where once stood dead soil and broken machines, now shimmered green fields, singing rivers, and forests growing under twin suns. The heartseed had not just healed the land, it had awakened something inside the people too. A memory of what their world could be. Before greed, war, and royal lies had taken everything in the center of this reborn world. Cain and Theola walked side by side toward a gathering unlike any before, the intergalactic unity. Assembly had called an emergency summit, not inside a palace, but on the open fields grown from the heart seed. 1,000 delegates from across systems had arrived. News channels broadcasted it to billions. Everyone waited to hear the truth, not from royalty, not from leaders, but from a woman who had once been abandoned and a human who chose her over a crown. As they stepped onto the stage, Cain stood still, letting Theola take the lead. She looked nervous. Her hands trembled, but Cain gave a small nod. And she took a deep breath. My name is Theola, she said, voice soft but clear. I was once a scientist, a dreamer, and then a prisoner of silence. She paused. I built something meant to save planets, not destroy them. I believed in healing, not war. But when I refused to turn that gift into a weapon, I was exiled, branded, forgotten. She looked over the sea of faces, some watching in person, some across stars, but I was not alone forever. A human, someone who owed me nothing, chose to see me when others turned away, not because I had power, because I had worth. Cain stepped forward, his voice steady. Love is not weakness. Compassion is not a flaw. When I walked away from the Queen's throne, people thought I was foolish, but that choice saved a world. The crowd was silent, not out of doubt, but out of awe. Theola finished softly. We are not here to wear crowns. We are here to plant new seeds, seeds of truth, justice, and hope. Then she reached into her pocket and placed the activation cube on the table. I offer this to the assembly, she said, not to control it, but to share it. In the skies above, Queen Velyara's escape pod floated silently. She had been hunted down, arrested, and now awaited trial, not as a ruler, but as a criminal. The people she once ruled had turned their backs on her, not with swords, but with the truth. Her power was gone, her lies exposed, and in the heart of her former empire, a new voice had risen. The assembly voted unanimously. Theola was named. The first guardian of renewal, not a queen, but a leader chosen by the people, not crowned with gold, but honored with trust. Cain was offered titles, awards, command. He refused them all, choosing instead to remain by Theola's side, not as a ruler, but as a partner. And together, they began a journey across star systems, planting heart seeds on dying worlds, sharing the knowledge once hidden in shadows. Years later, a child ran across the grass of a healed world, laughing, barefoot, free. She stopped under a glowing tree carved with names, Theola and Cain. She looked up at her mother, a woman with emerald skin and wise, gentle eyes. Mom, the child asked, is it true? You were once thrown away, Theola knelt beside her. Yes, my love. Then how did you become so important? Theola smiled. Because someone believed in me, before I believed in myself. Dad. Theola looked toward Cain, now older, sitting under the shade, reading quietly. He chose me, she said, when everyone else chose power. Far above, among the stars, the story of Cain and Theola spread. It was told not as a tale of war, but as a lesson, that sometimes the greatest act of rebellion is kindness, the most powerful crown is love, and that even the most broken heart can carry the key to saving a world.